Hey everybody, hope you're all doing quite well. Have here in my hands QAD HDX Ultra Rest. I like this air rest. I've been using these for years and similar styles to these and find that they function quite well. Really don't see a need to change. Doing this video though to show you guys a little tip, I guess you could call it, that I use for creating material for the air to ride on silently, but that is more durable. Because over time, what's included with the QAD rests, those little, almost like a felt synthetic type material that has self-adhesion, it doesn't last really, in my opinion, long enough. It's also capable of absorbing water. This is black shrink tube. It does not absorb water, it is quiet. But here's what you need to do to get it to fit right. So I have here a 2.5 inch, roughly 2.5 inch wide piece that'll shrink down, of course, smaller than that, just a little over 2.5. Shrinks down with heat. So what I do to create a grooved and fit to this groove piece of material is to cut off a section that I think is long enough, cut it about in half. So take about half what I had there and then take a look and see how long that is, how far down that comes around. So you can fit that down in between. You can take a look. Of course, at this point you haven't heated it yet, so it's not going to conform to the shape that you want it to. But you can see if you're too long on your piece, and you can see this is longer probably than it would need to be. So I'll trim these back, both of these pieces, so that once I have the final assembly done, that the piece is right in this area here. Each piece comes to about that point. So I'll trim this down just a little more. And then after this, hold it in place while I do some heating. Now, this will not cause it to permanently stay bonded, but it will give it the shape that we want. So I'm going to wedge it down pretty tight into that gap and then hold on to it. Now this is the heat gun, gets pretty hot. As you can see, my fingers are going to be fairly close to the area that we'll be heating. So I'm going to put a glove on, help me protect my fingers from this heat, because I do have it turned up quite high to get this shrink material to shrink down. Alright, like I said, I pulled it pretty tight in there. Go with the heat gun and start getting this to shrink down. So, trying to avoid my fingers, but keeping heat on the shrink material. Yep, starting to conform now to the shape. But it's key, of course, that you keep your fingers on the shrink tube and hold that there so that you get the shrinking occurring in the area you want. Yeah, it's really pulling tight on the back side right now. So the back side of this here, you can see is starting to really take the shape of the launcher arm. And I think about where I need to be all the way down. This is really durable industrial type strength or industrial type application shrink material. It's heavy and it can handle a lot of heat. Alright, so it's shrunk down a good bit, and you can see now it did conform to that V that's there. At this point, I want this to harden in the position that it's in. So I'm going to hold it here for a little bit until I'm pretty certain it's not going to shrink back or slide back. Still got that nice contour fitting into the contour. And yes, it definitely has taken the shape that I want. So let's pull this off of here. Alright, so you can see it actually did take a set. took the shape of the launcher arm. So at this point, just you really just need to let it cool down entirely. And then you can trim it further if you want to make some additional trimming adjustments to the length, how far down it extends over the launcher arm. Then what I'll do is I clean this with acetone so it's oil free, clean the inside of the shrink tube, and then apply some adhesive. I use a cyanoacrylate based rubber toughened type. It's black. You may have some of that on hand. Essentially that's just a stronger type of super glue, but it is rubber toughened, and it does bond well to this type of material. So while this doesn't cover, and it's not intended to, it doesn't cover the upper portions of the arms. That's not what I want. I really don't care. And I already have this set up on my other bow. This is going to go on the second Summit 6 that I'm working on. I like the consistency of how the arrow rides through there. I like the durability of this. And again, as I pointed out, it can't absorb water. It'll last much longer lifespan. So maybe you should give this a try if it's something you'd like to do. Alright guys, I'm back. So I got the piece bonded down. Like I said, I cleaned the surface with acetone, cleaned the surface of the shrink material as well, applied the rubber toughened cyanoacrylate, and then held it in place for a couple seconds to get that to bond. So that looks good. Next step though is I want to create as consistent of a groove side to side as possible. So what I'll do is heat. This is a steel rod. We'll heat this up a good bit. Heat it up enough that when I run this through the launcher arm, I can cause the shrink tube to conform a little more, become even more uniform in its area where the arrow actually rides at. This is of course a little bit, perhaps a little larger in diameter than the arrow, but it's quite close to the diameter of the arrows that I use. Just want to get it hot enough though that it will shape the rubber, shape the shrink material. So let's try that. It's probably hot enough at this point. I don't need it to be hot enough necessarily to melt it, just to change the shape. And it is. It's good. It smooths that out really nice. Creates a really uniform surface. Now I've lost, for the most part, I probably lost the heat that I had in the rod there. Now let's heat it up again. Go through one more time. This helps to smooth the rubber down and give you that uniformity. Does it matter that much? Well, if it matters to you, do it. If it matters to me, I do it. I think it makes a difference. Let's go back over it again. And I'm pretty happy. That looks good. So you can see that I've gotten that to be rounded out nicely. Still has sufficient thickness of material so the arrow rides across it smooth, noise free, but you get longevity out of this. Alright, that's it. So if you have any questions, reach out. The products that we sell, of course, titanium archery products. We sell a variety of items now. Things that we manufacture, tapped out bows. It's all available on our website, titaniumarcheryproducts.com.